We cover many serious issues in this podcast. This discussion may contain reference to domestic violence, sexual violence, violence against children, suicide, drug use, or graphic depictions of death or dead bodies. It is not suitable for all audiences.
Tonight on Unsolved Mysteries Rewind, two friends get together to discuss episodes of their favorite television show, Unsolved Mysteries. Will they find answers? Will anyone care? You may be able to solve a mystery.
Hello, you are listening to Unsolved Mysteries Rewind. My name is Mark. I'm on with my co-host, Kim. How are you, Kim?
I'm doing great, thanks. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm excited, as I always am, to record these episodes. This was an episode that I chose, and I chose it mostly because of Elvis. You know, I don't know much about Elvis, but I had a feeling that it would be something that would be interesting to you. But little did I know that Kim, of when you were just a wee child, you were obsessed with Elvis. And I think it's amazing.
I don't even know if obsessed is a big enough word for what it was. Like, I could not have been more into Elvis. I had his pictures all over the wall. And we're talking from like the ages 3 to like 8, like very young. Pictures all over the wall. I had that clock where like the pendulum swings.
I know that one. I've seen it.
Yeah, and I shared with you, and I will post on the Facebook page, a picture of me as Elvis for Halloween in a costume that my mom hand-sequined.
No. It's not just that. It's you doing the Elvis sneer.
Yeah, I had that like spray-painted black Halloween hair. I was in the mood, and thank you very much.
I sent that picture to Chris Hassler, who is another, and I have a picture of him when I left Scholastic years ago when I worked with him. They threw like kind of a going away party, and he dressed up as Elvis. So I'll dig up that picture. Elvis, I mean, he's a tremendous Elvis fan as well. I don't know if you're still an Elvis fan, but
no, not really. No, it didn't really stick with me. But God, for a while there, I was into him.
And you know what? He really captured the attention of the entire nation. And when he died, it was, I mean, I think you could talk to almost anybody who was alive during that time. And they'll say it was probably one of the most eventful periods of time. You know, it was, I believe, August 16th, 1977. One of my favorite people in the world passed away 3 days later, Groucho Marx. And Groucho was, in my opinion, a true legend. Not to say Elvis wasn't, but he was a true legend. And his death was just completely overshadowed by Elvis's. It's really just a footnote. And I think back to that, and I think it was kind of a shame. I don't remember it, of course, but nonetheless, these little things kind of happened, and Elvis was absolutely legendary, and he would capture the imagination of tykes like you at 3 or women who were like 80. But unfortunately, Elvis had a lot of demons, as we all know. And I kind of don't even know where to start with this story, except that it starts with a theory that Elvis's death may not be so cut and dry. It may not just be an overdose.
Before we begin, can I just say I posted something on my personal Facebook page about Elvis this week. It was just this cute little music video kind of number that he did with Anne Margaret, who I love. And my neighbor, who is very prim, very proper, very conservative, approximately late 70s, early 80s, told me that she would throw her panties at Elvis, like, if she ever got to go to a concert.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, get it. Like, good for you. Do it up. But I was stunned to hear those words come out of her mouth.
You know, you have not lived life until you've gone to, like, say, a Tom Jones concert. And you see these women who, you know, in their 60s and 70s and maybe even older and younger, and they are literally throwing their panties at this elderly gentleman who seems to have very tight pants on and showing a certain bulge
region.
that maybe makes me a little uncomfortable, Kim. But I'm there. I'm watching it. So, and you can't do anything about it. It's just kind of happening. And I always found Tom Jones to be very interesting and fun to watch. And I always kind of compared Tom Jones with the talent of Elvis. But he has that same type of appeal to women. And I laugh when I just say women because it's crazy to me that that these rock stars really have this kind of this star power. And you know, in the last episode we reviewed, we talked about Tupac, and I would say you know, Tupac is one of those people who, you know, of course legally he abused this power, but you know, we're talking about a rap star, and now we're talking about this other legendary person. And it's crazy to me that the drama that surrounds these people, and, you know, they work so hard to get to this level, and they just basically futz it away. My whole life, and I didn't realize this until the other day, my whole existence, I always thought Elvis died when he was in his 60s. And I just learned that he died when he was 42. And I'm over 42. I'm 47. So I'm thinking I'm 5 years older than Elvis when he died. You know, when I look at Elvis, I don't see a 42-year-old guy. And I think that's really sad.
Yeah, at the end, he was definitely getting rough.
And what a good-looking guy, right, when he was younger.
Oh, my God. So handsome, very easy on the eyes. But yeah, I mean, mo money, mo problems.
Yeah, but this is not the Elvis review. This is the Memphis Mafia review.
Right. So basically, the whole reason for Unsolved Mysteries, you might think, like I did, oh, is Elvis still alive or isn't he? No, it's not that. It's just, did Elvis die of like a drug overdose, or did he intentionally commit suicide? So we meet David Stanley, who's his stepbrother, and he is just gun-ho that he committed suicide. Yeah,
and I think for the most part, when you talk to somebody, you know, I think most people just think he overdosed, possibly intentionally. I don't know if it's across the board. I would have to talk to people about this. I don't know that many people who are into Elvis.
Here's what I'll tell you about the board. If you ask 10 people, how did Elvis die? 9 of them are going to say on the toilet. Yeah. Exactly. And I will just say, as far as suicide, at the time that we are recording this, just this week, his grandson actually committed suicide.
It's always a shame to hear this. And do you know how old he was by any chance?
I want to say like 23. So young. Oh, it's really sad. It's really sad.
I'll never understand these people who are put into these very fortunate financial situations, and they don't seek the help that is so available to them.
I know, but
I can't say. Yeah, I'm not judging.
And it's not a thought that travels through rational channels, you know. So
that's true.
Mean, when you're in that zone, that's all you see, and it's hard to get out, and it's hard to get yourself help. So I mean, I get it's sad, but I get it.
I just always think that, you know what, whatever you're going through tomorrow, next week, the month, it'll be fine. It just, you know, you just have to get through this really crappy day. And it's just a shame. Hopefully if people are listening to this and they feel that way, they, you know, reach out and they get the kind of help that they need. You can easily find it. Just go to Google. You might have heard of it.
And you might get a medication to help. And speaking of medications, we learn about the variety of medications that Elvis was on. Basically, when he was drafted in World War II, they gave him like these pep pills to stay awake. And then from there, he was on everything.
I think it was, I believe it was Korean War.
Right? Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
I think. I mean, I don't, he was born in 1935. So, yeah, it would have been probably the Korean War. And when he was drafted, that was also a really big deal, you know, rock star going away to war. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they came back with not only PTSD, but they came back with these, you know, addictions. Do we know why he took medication when he was away?
Well, they said because he was like in charge with keeping guard, and that you weren't supposed to stay asleep. You're supposed to stay awake all the time. So they gave him like a bunch of pep pills. But his friend, quote unquote, his friend Red, was in the war with him, and he said that he came home and he liked the way that the pills were, you know, with him, and he just started gobbling up all these pills, anything he could get his hands on. So they kind of talk about how he's a little bit of a recluse in the later years of his life, and he just surrounds himself with his yes men, his paid yes men called the Memphis Mafia. And It's just how he's like spiraling into depression and stuff, and he's solitary, and obviously he gains weight. Like, that's the joke. Elvis, fat Elvis, you know?
Yeah. It's a real shame because when he was going through all this, he was relatively young, and it's just, he's probably a prime example of somebody who could have Robert Downey Jr.'d it, you know, and like just kind of like gotten like the Betsy Ross, like, is it Betsy Ross clinic? No, Betsy Ford, Betsy Ross. Betty Ford. No offense to the person who sewed the flag. So the Betsy Ford clinic, he could have done something like that and like come back like Robert Downey Jr., who's now like super like healthy looking, and he had such like a downward spiral. But it scared me when they started talking about these clockwork attentions.
Attacks.
Yeah, attacks. Why are they called attacks? Do you have
because it is, I don't know specifically why it's called that, but it's enough to like kill somebody. So basically he is given so much medication. His stepbrother says it's enough medication to kill a cow 3 times a day, like clockwork. So basically like the first attack of the day, he would get them delivered to him with like a bunch of like fried potatoes, 2 cheeseburgers. Like, it was very specific.
He's living the life, Kim. He's living the life I want to live for just a weekend.
Well, among the handful of pills, we'll see if you still feel this way, was Valium, Nembutal, Demerol, Quaaludes, and Seconal. And they said that per day, he would take approximately 6 months worth of pills.
Now, I don't know if you know about this. I don't even know if it's recorded, but did Elvis ever have like any type of mental illness, anything recorded, any type of depression?
Definitely depression. Like, we talk a lot about depression in this episode, that he just kind of spiraled deeper and deeper and more of his reclusiveness and stuff. But as far as the rest of it, I don't know. And I mean, most of my Elvis research stops at, you know, about 1997, you know, so seriously. I don't know much about him.
Well, I think that's when he actually died. No, I think he died when he died, and it's a real tragic story. We do speak to people from his entourage who kind of cashed in a little bit by writing books.
A lot of it. Apparently, that was like the biggest cause. And the book was called Elvis, What Happened? And it was written by some of the guys in his entourage, and they were going to expose him. And this happened less than 2 weeks before his death. This book came out, all about, you know, because he still had a squeaky clean image, but it was all about how he was like fat because he was, you know, boozing and doing pills.
What was it that he ate? What was his sandwich that you made a comment?
Oh my God. It was like a fried peanut butter and banana and bacon sandwich.
I mean, all right. When I went to Vegas, right, you know, Betsy and I kind of ventured into like the seedy underbelly of Vegas one night, and we got into the 75-cent margarita place, right? Which, you know what? Hey, there's a party going on in the penny slots. So you go there, and they have like deep fried bratwurst and deep fried Oreos and Twinkies and Ho-Hos, all of these like ridiculous things. And you try each one, and you go home feeling like complete crap. I guess if somebody put this in front of me, I would take a bite. So you kind of have to, but to say that I want this over and over again, it's crazy. And it just seems to me he was really trying to cover up like something serious, like something he needed to numb himself from.
Yes,
and
exactly. And eating is a way of doing that. Like, I read this whole article about how he was an emotional eater because it just like soothed him, and it was his childhood.
But that's
and
not
stuff.
even eating. It's have a piece of broccoli.
No, that's not emotional eating. You need comfort food. Take it from an emotional eater. Like, you need stuff to like wrap you up. It was his version of our watching Little House on the Prairie.
I guess, yeah. He was constipated with Little House.
Yeah, exactly. But they talk about how he is like the biggest sex symbol, and now he's impotent. Like, this book went there. So he was very depressed about this, and this only happened after they got fired. So
yeah, it's like the tell-all type of things. We see them; they come out pretty much every year about somebody or something.
Exactly. Yeah,
and I think the media gobbles it up. I'm sorry, go on.
No doubt, and I do too. I'm a celebrity gossip person, but they claim that it was not to cash in; that they were doing it to get him to. Yeah, they said it was to get him to face up to reality. But seriously, come on. this is not the wake up call that you think it is. So Stanley, who, David Stanley, the brother, he says that he's just getting more and more depressed. He's looking for a way out. And there was a book called Careless Love, The Unmaking of Elvis Presley, which claims that, I know, but it claims that Elvis was so mad at his entourage for writing this book that he wanted to try to lure them to Graceland so he could kill them.
I would too. Have you ever gone to Graceland?
Okay, so.
Okay.
No. But we went to Missouri when I was a little kid for unrelated reasons. We just went to Missouri as a family trip. And I was like begging my parents to go to Graceland because Elvis was all I lived for. So I was like, we have to go. My mom was like, we are not driving all that way. Apparently it was like on the anniversary of his death. So they didn't want, like, it was going to be a zoo anyway, even if we did go. So we're driving along and we find this diner / and I use the term loosely, museum called Elvis is Alive, and it was in Missouri. And
wait, is it that video? So the video you sent is the actual place that you visited.
Yes,
that's like Graceland. Better.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a tour of Graceland. It was over the top. I mean, I saw it just researching this, but yeah, this was like pictures of Elvis in the coffin, and it was like a mummified body, and Elvis was real. It was bananas. Yeah, my mom came out and she just said, tacky, and got in the car. Like, that's all I remember, really.
Oh, you didn't go. I mean, it's a 16-minute video that you'd sent. And it looks kind of like a big, like a small type of attraction. It's a real attraction on the side. You have the Elvis guy playing a guitar that Elvis never played. Poorly.
Sure. No, we went in, but I'm just saying afterwards, my mom was just like, "Whoo, Doug, that was bad."
And you're like, "I loved it."
Give me merchandise.
Yeah, so it's all very sad. I've never been to Graceland. We were supposed to go to Dollywood, which I kind of compare the two for some reason. And
okay, fair.
You've been there?
No, I said that's fair.
Yeah, but because of all of this, like everything being shut down, we put everything on hold. So we were supposed to actually go to Disney World and then Pigeon Forge, which is Dollywood. So we just didn't do that. Our family is on pause, so, unfortunately. But we saved money, I guess. So anyway, Elvis, he's going through a lot of stuff. His girlfriend at the time, she says that he got up at about 9:30 and went into the bathroom to read, which I read in the bathroom. We all, maybe you don't.
No, it's a very dad thing to do.
Yeah. And, it's like when, it's why I subscribe to magazines, still. But you go in there and, hours later, she, I guess, wakes up and his body is found.
Yeah, it's said that his body was like in a fetal position, but from my understanding, Ginger Alden, his girlfriend at the time, said that it was like he was sitting on the toilet and he just fell forward. So he's like in a locked sitting position. But before this happened, his stepbrother, David Stanley, says that he claims that the last time he saw Elvis was like, "Goodbye, I'll never see you again except in heaven." I don't know. My personal feel on it is that he was responsible for the attacks and for all this kind of stuff. And then I think he feels guilty about it. So he's trying to say that Elvis did it intentionally. But what we know is that he refused all his cheeseburgers and potatoes and his quote unquote attacks. So like all those pills. And apparently he saved them all up and then took them in the bathroom. That's what David Stanley's theory is.
I just feel like he wouldn't have to be a sneak about it. He could just say, "Give me a pound." He's Elvis. Yeah. I mean, these people work for him. It's...
Yeah, and these people were not saying no to him. Not at all. But, I mean, here's the thing. He wasn't the most healthy guy. He lived off fried, bacon sandwiches and 6 months worth of pills a day. And his dad had a heart attack 3 years later. So it's definitely possible that he had a heart attack. But clinical pharmacologist that we meet, Dr. Merrigan, says that, oh, no, there's no evidence that Elvis was abusing drugs.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like right there with the Michael Jackson thing.
Exactly. It was very Michael Jackson, this whole thing.
Or
there was
Prince.
A trial actually later.
So many people, they died just way too young. Like Michael Jackson, Prince, and of course Elvis.
Yeah, well, there was a 1981 trial of his main physician, Dr. George Nikolopoulos, and it actually exonerated him criminally of Elvis's death, but concluded that in the first 8 months of just 1977, he had prescribed Elvis more than 10,000 doses of sedatives, amphetamines, and narcotics.
It's not that bad.
Oy.
Like, how much does that weigh? How much do you think 10,000 doses of anything weigh? It's got to be like 20 pounds? Yeah, I mean, it's a big sack. And for somebody to ingest that much of anything, you just, I don't know, it's negligent in my eyes. But, you know, he wasn't, like you just said before, nobody was saying, no, he's Elvis. You know, he's the biggest star at the time, next to the Osmonds. And but his father, Vernon, requested a private autopsy. And for whatever reason, we have to wait another 6.5 years until we can see the published findings.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's like a 50-year thing because he died in 77. So, we will not see the results until 2027, but we're almost there.
I think it's going to come out as an overdose. What do you think?
I think it is like a drug-induced issues, you know.
Like a heart attack.
Exacerbated issues. Yeah, well, because like he had all of these problems on record. He had glaucoma, high blood pressure, liver damage, an enlarged colon. Like the official cause of death on his autopsy now is like an arrhythmia brought on by drug use. And I think it's just that. But, you know, if the show is still on the air in 6.5 years, we will keep you updated.
I plan on it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That means if we're recording if we're releasing an episode every week, that means that we will have gotten to about our 300th episode.
Oh my God! Well, congratulations.
Well, how many episodes of Unsolved Mystery are there? I don't know.
Not that many.
Yeah, I think we'll have run out by then. Oh, yeah, well.
But you know, if you do ever decide to come to Disney World, I hope that you will be on the lookout for the Skunk Ape.
Skunk Ape. I've never heard of the Skunk Ape. I've looked into a lot of cryptozoology having to do with, Bigfoot and these type of. There's all different types of things, the Mothman and creatures. The Skunk Ape has never come up to me. I mean, it's never showed its existence to me in lore, but it's very fascinating. But so it exists only in Florida, right? I mean, this is the only place where it's been seen so far.
Yes, but as someone who currently resides in Florida, I have heard of it before. Only one time before I started researching this, I saw this animal that I really didn't recognize outside of my house, and I called it a raccoquirrel because it was like part raccoon, part cat, part squirrel. Like that was the size of it, and it looked like that. So I told my neighbor about it, and he was like, "It must have been the skunk ape." And I was like,
"Were they serious?"
No. He was, and he was 3 sheets to the wind at this point. But no, I don't think he. I think
like
he was
this
pulling
guy.
My chain.
I mean, so it's something that's kind of, I guess, casual discussion and legend for the area. You live within like a 500-mile area. I mean, from where this happened, right? So
from like the main research headquarters, I am about 400 miles away, and there are sightings like in Tallahassee and all these different places. But we start with like 1973. Our main guy is David Shealy, and when he's 10 years old, him and his brother are like trekking through the swamps and near Ochopee, Florida, and his brother spots something that he says is a figure about 8 feet tall and weighing 300 pounds with the odor of a skunk. And ever since this, it has been this guy's main goal in life to find this. I actually saw a documentary, I believe it's called They Live in Trees, on this guy. It's like 15 minutes long on YouTube. And oh my God, this guy, he's just like getting wasted the whole time, and he's just like, I saw it. Why doesn't anybody believe me?
He literally is sitting there like he's in one of those tall lifeguard chairs.
Yeah,
and he just watches. I mean, I don't know. What do you do?
They said it was 8 months he was sitting out there in his chair all alone. Apparently his family is like old school in this area, like 1800s. So he has this small little bit of property in the middle of a humongous national like protected forest. But this part is his own. So that's where the Skunk Ape Research Center is, where of course you can buy like t-shirts and all that kind of merch. And he has a campground there, and he gives like tours of it and stuff. But he's in the middle of a 2.2 million acre protected wildlife area. Mm-hmm.
And he did get a photograph of this at one point. They show it.
Yeah, and a video.
Yeah, and it's blurry, like all of them. You know, all of these things, they're not really, it's not up to snuff what you would expect to have any fine detail whatsoever. And, there's all these theories about that. It's an interdimensional creature. And when you go to photograph it, of course, you're not going to get it clearly because it is, moving between dimensions. That's one of the theories. But I don't know if I put so much faith into the skunk ape, but I do enjoy the lore and the stories that surround it. But other people do claim to have seen the skunk ape.
Yeah, in 1997, this woman sees it crossing the road. A few minutes later, her neighbor sees it and speeds up and takes a picture of it. I have to say, never in a million years did I think I would say this, but within the past 24 hours, I think I believe in the skunk ape. I'm not exaggerating. I think this is real, and I don't think it's like a mythical creature. We learn through my researching, I learned that there are several places within a very small, hour drive of this area where they do medical and cosmetic and all this kind of experiment on monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
And so do I believe that maybe one of the monkeys got out and maybe it was all jacked up on steroids and stuff and it was different looking than your regular monkey? And yeah, of course it would live in the forest. So I believe in it more than I thought I would. That's for sure.
No, that's really interesting. I do believe that, there are things out there. Definitely there's a reason why cryptozoologists are out there looking for this stuff. There has been evidence of different types of things like nests. I mean, if they are creatures, they know how to hide from people, very well. Here on Long Island, you might have heard of the Montauk monster. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No.
It's something to look for in the future. But we have off of the coast of Long Island, an island where they do a lot of, government research. And there's a theory of that Lyme disease was actually created there as a military weapon, and it leaked out. And they feel as though there's a lot of experiments going on there. Plum Island, that's what it's called. And it's one of these just terrible places that you kind of get a little bit scared of when you go down the rabbit hole of doing research. And I kind of believe I'm on board with your theory that it could be some type of experiment gone bad.
And there's a place around here called Silver Springs that sometimes my husband is on fishing and stuff like that. And
he must see some stuff, right?
Oh, yeah. No, they have these monkeys that did escape, and now there's just monkeys all over the place there. And apparently they carry herpes and they're pretty aggressive.
Cute.
And I know, right? But there's monkeys all over the place down there that are just, oh, yeah. But I could see monkeys getting loose. I don't know. I'm not saying I believe that the skunk ape is real, but I believe that this guy saw something.
I'm just laughing because it's you could see a guy getting together with some girl and then, it's hey, honey, why do you have herpes now? The monkey.
I got it from a monkey.
He jumped on me.
Yeah.
I could see that being used at least once. Oh, man.
Yeah, but we do get to see some things he'll this guy, David Shealy, he'll put out baits of green beans and stuff. And he brings in this tracker guy, T.L. Riggs, who's an Everglades tracker. He'll bring him in to, they'll cast footprints that they see. And he snaps off all these branches 5 feet high so that he can capture hair from this skunk ape. And he does capture bunches of hair from this animal that would be that far off the ground. So they send it in. Unsolved Mysteries takes this hair sample, sends it in, and we get an update, kind of, and it just says that they are inconclusive, but it's not synthetic. And they've ruled out a lot of stuff, but it was kind of a non-update.
Yeah, it's really just a fun story to talk about. But it does upset me if there's a creature out there and it's kind of on its own and it's lost. And or maybe there's a couple. I always believe there's a couple and they're living a happy little life and making other little freaky monkeys.
Well, in 2019, in a CBS interview, Dave claims that there are between 7 to 9 skunk apes left in existence, and that because of people wanting to see them so bad that we are actually driving them into extinction.
Of course.
And he says that, they weigh 450 and the males are 8 feet tall. The females are littler. But yeah, that documentary, is amazing. I will post a link to it on Facebook. But yeah, he owns a campground down there. I was looking at the merch because I was like, this looks like a fun rabbit hole to go down. But he says he has seen the skunk ape 3 times and finds its footprints at least once a year.
No, I just wanted to tell a quick story. I'll make this very short. It's for somebody who I interviewed a very long time ago. He lives in kind of the a very rural part of Pennsylvania. His name is Cliff Barackman, and he does Bigfoot research. And he was telling me about this one story. Him and his wife would go hiking, and they would get to these really, really off the beaten path type of hikes. And they would get to these plateaus. And he always had this kind of hippie hobby, I like to call these type of things, where he'll bring stones with him and he'll get to a certain point and he'll set the stones up. You know, people just balance their stones and then they leave. And he's like, then I come back. And sometimes they're knocked over. Sometimes it's cool when they stay that way. And he said that he set it up and he left. And he came back like 6 months later and they were set up in a very, very different way. So he kept doing this for about 3 years. And this one time he said that he was doing it, he feels as though he heard something walking away and there was this putrid smell. And he was just, because he claims to have had Bigfoot interactions in the past. He's like, that was the smell. So he's convinced that this thing was moving back and forth. It happened one more time, and he had cut himself before he got there. And he feels as though he dropped blood, and it just kind of ended once he dropped blood there. But Cliff Barackman, he's one of these guys who he's not full of it. There's something about him where I really believe what he's saying is true. He doesn't have any photographic evidence for this particular thing, but he feels as though they were playing kind of a game and he kind of messed it up by bleeding on it. So, but Cliff Barackman, he's a really interesting guy and does a lot of really interesting outdoorsy type of stuff. But anyway,
awesome.
All right. So I'll put a link to maybe that podcast in the show notes or something.
Okay, cool. Well, this next story, I want to give a preface because I truly believe that the person they are talking about was a person who identified differently. I think that this was
not a very sensitive portrayal of this person's life.
Not at all. I think that this was somebody that was born female that was definitely transitioning male. And, in telling this story, we might confuse it because, we did get the 1997 version where, as you said, it was not sensitive at all. So I will say we will be as respectful as we can, but we may make a mistake because we are human. So this was in September 24th of 1997. This guy, Gary Seiner, we're in Rhode Island. This dog breeder, Gary Seiner, and his boyfriend, Gardner Young, were cleaning out the kennels on his property when they found like a really foul-smelling odor. And this place is a mansion. I mean, it has huge dog kennels, enough to fit at least 58 dogs.
Of course they are. I mean, they're loaded. If you're in this hobby, you pretty much have money.
Oh, yeah. It's not something for the poorsies, to take their dog out and show them out. But so he's like, okay, because they just bought this property. So he's like, let me check out the septic tank. He opens it up and he sees a skull in there.
I loved this reenactment. I'm not saying that I think it was, fun or anything, but I thought that the reenactment looked good and I could just imagine seeing this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was horrifying. And he sees the skull had a gunshot in it and it was actually fractured. So he's like, I better call the police because the previous owner went missing many years before, 10 years earlier.
Just don't pick it up with a stick.
Oh yeah. No, don't mess with it at all.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, in October of 98, over a year later, we do get confirmation that it is the Heiress born Camilla Lyman. So we get a brief history of Camilla's life, and her parents are old money. This whole story was the upper crust,
Yeah, it was kind of like, you're only worth $7 million. It's like
exactly how cute.
It's like I'm broke.
Yeah, and she was. She was so passionate about show dogs. Her father was very passionate about show dogs, and she had an extremely close bond with her father. So we meet Mary Margaret Goodall, who is Camilla's sister, and we learn that she is described as a, quote, solitary spinster who never dated or married. So she just lives with her parents until they die. Now, after they die, apparently she starts getting a little kooky because the grounds of the Westward place, which is this mansion, were not being taken care of. And so
I just read your note. It just made me laugh. I'm sorry. It's like, your old money when your house has a name.
Yeah, she was not taking it up with the Westwood place. I was like, oh, all right, we get it. But Camilla became a recluse. She spent all this time with her dog. She never wanted to be around people. And then she started taking animal steroids, which they say, made her grow facial hair. Her voice deepened and began wearing men's clothing.
I don't buy this for a second. I don't believe she started taking animal steroids. I believe that she was probably taking different types of human growth hormones and transitional hormones to prepare for some form of permanent what's the exact thing? The reassignment surgery.
And they keep talking like this is just a kooky trait, but it's like this person is transgender. Like this is not like oh, you want to be fun if I just took all this stuff and started dressing like a man. Like this is this person, finally being who they are inside. Like it's not just like, oh, this wackadoo,
Yeah, but for 1997, I guess it was a little bit more of a wackadoo. It was more of a Howard Stern type of goof.
I mean, I understand, but it is amazing how far we've come in like 23 years. It's amazing.
Yeah,
but,
I agree. Yeah.
I read a lot of articles that speculated that she was trying to like become her father in a way, which I thought was kind of bizarre. I didn't see anything to that. So
they also say in this rare video of her dressed as a woman, and I'm thinking rare. This is like the Westminster dog thing. It's like been filmed for like 180 years or something.
Exactly.
What's so rare about that? But she's just like a woman, showing her dog, and then she puts a tie on and has short hair, and all of a sudden she's dressed as a man. Very, very, odd. It's kind of like if you've ever seen 1977's Annie Hall, it's kind of like, well, a lot of people came down on, I'm forgetting the actress's name. Diane Keaton as being dressed as a man. It's like, I don't know. It's just she's wearing a tie.
Yeah. I mean, this was a little beyond that, though. I mean, this woman...
Well, the facial hair was definitely growing. She was transitioning, like you said.
Exactly. So, she actually legally changes her name to Cam, which is obviously a little less feminine. So, in the 1980s, Cam becomes friends with a fellow dog show person named George O'Neill Jr., and we, as Unsolved Mysteries viewers, get introduced to a private investigator named Charles Allen, who the family hired when Cam went missing. So George is kind of like slowly taking over Cam's life. George was Cam's only friend, accountant, handler, shoulder to cry on, like anything that Cam needed, George was there. Yeah. So, as is typical with abusers, allegedly, Cam just totally got isolated from everybody but George. So, in 1984, George helped sell Cam's Massachusetts estate and purchase this beautiful 40-acre estate in Rhode Island. That's the one that we were talking about with all the dog kennels. Right. So, we also learned that Cam, quote, became more eccentric because they said that he would like carry around briefcases with tons of like money and jewelry in it. And they said that Cam would go to the grocery store for a quart of milk and bring like $10,000 in cash with him.
You don't do that.
I mean, that is living the dream if I ever heard it. I dream to be that out of touch
I'll
with
have
reality.
17 pounds of salmon. Yeah, it's a lot of cash to be walking around with.
Yeah, and so in December of 1987, Cam's friends and family, they don't hear from Cam that much, so it's not really unusual not to hear from Cam, but he always sends a Christmas card. So this year, no Christmas card arrives, and his family's like, we really got to contact the trust. So they contact the trust, and it shows that all of Cam's trust fund checks were being endorsed. They used to be endorsed with Cam's signature, but now they're only endorsed with an account number.
Crazy.
So
yeah.
So that's when they hire the private investigator, and they find out that O'Neill actually held Cam's power of attorney and was supposedly the sole beneficiary and stood to inherit the entire estate.
Yeah. Now, with an estate like this, and we're not talking about like, $50,000. We are talking about several $1 million. An accountant it's not totally uncommon that an accountant would be able to endorse by, just putting an account number on and depositing it into their account. It's just a matter of, like having access to those accounts. Who has access? two people.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah, and another thing that kind of raises the family's suspicions is that O'Neill reportedly never was concerned at all about where Cam was. He says that the last time he spoke to Cam on the phone was in July of 1987, and that they had an argument. And O'Neill later testifies that Cam's entry papers to an upcoming dog show had not arrived in time, but in the middle of the conversation, the phone went dead. So he goes to the house and he says that the phone was like ripped out of the wall and there was no sign of Cam and the kennel was just in complete disarray.
With the dogs there, and it very much upset me.
Oh yeah, with and again, 58 dogs. Like that is so many dogs. And that's what the family is thinking. Like, there's no way Cam would have left his dogs,
Yeah.
you know, like this
Which
was
I have to
all-
agree with. He does. He didn't seem like somebody who would intentionally just let his dogs, die of thirst and hunger.
Exactly.
It's insane to me. Any normal person, it would be insane for them to do that.
Exactly. And, George is just like, oh, I think Cam went to Europe to go have what they call a sex change operation, which now, of course, is gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah.
But all the while, George is still depositing Cam's trust fund checks. So what really gets other people's attention is that George begins showing Cam's prized dog as his own with his wife. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, this is our dog. We have permission. And this dog was like the apple of Cam's eye. So the PI investigates and he notices that between $3 to $5 million of Cam's assets disappeared right after Cam did. And we're talking like paintings, stuff like that was in the house.
And it just vanished. Like somebody had a garage sale and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what I think I think they just basically brought a moving truck and took whatever they wanted. I mean, this is not, it's a lot. It's the entire contents of the home.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yeah,
anything that's valuable anyway.
Definitely. They showed the walls were like completely bare. So a whole year later, in December of 1988, finally a missing persons report is filed by Cam's brother. Nothing happens. So in 1994, Cam's family went to the probate to have Cam legally declared dead so they could move the assets into their name and presumably get George O'Neill off of everything, get him not being the power of attorney, whatever. So during the legal fight, George got to keep the property, but lost everything else. So in 1995, Cam's legally declared dead. And apparently George thought that he was the sole beneficiary to Cam's estate, but it actually was for the American Kennel Club's Museum of the Dog. That's where all the assets were to go. Yeah. And so Cam actually told George that he wished that George would take Cam's cremated remains and like go up in a helicopter and sprinkle it over the Westminster Kennel Show. And the Westminster Kennel Show is like, no, we are not doing that.
Yeah, I can almost hear them saying it. Like, oh, no.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. But in 1997, because George has the property free and clear, he sells the property to Greg Seiner and Gardner Young, and those are the guys who discovered the body. So we get an update. It is so frustrating. In 2002, George O'Neill was charged with embezzling only $15,000 from Cam's trust. I guess
which
that's
is
all.
crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying the guy's totally guilty of a lot of stuff, but $15,000. I mean, so
yeah.
I would love to know what this person's salary was working on all of this for all of this amount of time. Whether there was any bonuses that were given to himself and what type of stipends he allowed himself. It's crazy.
I don't know where this $15,000 number comes up. I'm assuming that's only the stuff that they could like concretely prove.
He probably literally said things like, well, I have to pay for my office and I have to pay for my car to get to my office to work on all of this. There's so much creativity in accounting. And as somebody who's the son of kind of a corrupt accountant, I know these things. I don't know those things, but I know of those things. And
for sure.
Definitely, especially at this period of time.
Exactly. So in 2003, he actually entered an Alford plea, which is such a crock. Like, I can't even believe this is a thing, but it's basically where you plead guilty while claiming that you're innocent, but saying that if a jury were to convict you, like they would have, if you went to trial, the jury could convict you based on the evidence. So he's like, I'm guilty, but I'm really innocent.
It's like make believe.
It's so silly. So he got 1 year probation and was fined $450 in court fees. And that's all that he got for embezzling.
Oh, so I guess justice has been served.
Well, George O'Neill did die in 2011. Not saying that's justice, but
No, of course I'm kidding. I don't think that the $450 is kind of a joke. And even $15,000, it's... A year probation, I think, is if it was only $15,000 legitimately and there was nothing else associated to it, I would imagine that he wouldn't even get probation. But I think they had to give him as much as they could. They knew he was involved; they just couldn't prove it.
Exactly. Yeah. Sadly, Cam could not be, put over the Westminster Kennel Show, but Cam is buried in a. Like the ashes are buried in the family cemetery in just a simple poplar box. Cam's sister, Mary Margaret, died in 2018. And the whole time Mary Margaret's just like, I am so glad to have her back, And again, and we're saying her and stuff, but they only refer to Cam as her this whole time, or the heiress or whatever, like all female nouns. Now, I did learn that Greg won Best in Show 4 years ago. That's great.
Mazel tov. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful dog. It's a big version of my dog is the one that won, it looks like. And thankfully, I do not put my dog through these type of haircuts.
Oh my God. He's not that hard to find on Facebook. I don't recommend anybody mess with him, but if you guys want to see a guy who loves his dog and takes all kinds of photo shoots of his dog,
you've
awesome.
Seen Best in Show, the comedy.
I love Best in Show.
That's all I think about when I look at this photo.
100%.
By the way, I did want to just mention that I've been cutting my own dog's hair since this whole pandemic started, and I've become so good at it, I think, that I don't think I'll ever return to hiring a groomer. Because, awesome. I mean, a groomer 3 times a year is, it's like $180 a trip for 2 dogs.
Oh my God.
Yes. Welcome to Long Island. And, so yeah, I've become very good at it. So I think if you're spending that kind of money, which you're probably not because you're not stupid enough to live in Long Island, just cut your own dog's hair. They don't have to be show dogs, And I think my dogs are so much happier when I'm doing it because I take like 3 hours and give them a lot of treats. So
yeah, and they know you.
Now, we've talked about hauntings a lot. Yes. And I think I've shared my own personal hauntings. And I don't know if I ever shared one particular thing. And that's when I used to live in Seaford Harbor here on Long Island. And that's kind of within the vicinity of the Amityville Horror House. And it's also in the vicinity of the house that the movie Poltergeist is based on. So, and in my house, there was a really horrible death, and all of this weird stuff happened over the course of time that we owned the house. So I kept kind of a log, diaries, journal, something for about, I'd say, 3 years. And I was kind of flipping through it, and I see the progression of weird things that start happening. And it's just one of these things I start thinking like, oh, I should totally publish this, but I don't think I ever will. But it's just really interesting to keep a journal of these type of things if any strange stuff is happening, even if it's not strange, because when you look back, you start seeing strange patterns and weird stuff. This reminded me so much of some of the experiences, but completely not. I never had any type of crazy poltergeist stories like the ones at 37th Street in Vancouver, Washington.
I was going to ask if you have a ghost that grabs you in the shower.
I wish. No, it's that I thought was so weird the way they were talking about it.
I needed more details. I got none, but I was left needing to know more about this.
Clearly female.
Assaults
like
them.
What?
Yeah, and they say at one point the son comes in and he's like, "Hey, Dad, what's up with the shower?" It's like, oh, God, everybody's getting in on this?
Yeah, it's kind of strange. It's like a horny ghost. Just move the bathroom. How about that? So Ed and Mary Woods, they move to a new house, and she wakes up one night and she hears a music box playing, which is kind of like hearing little children laughing in the background when there's no one laughing. It's right up there with the top 3 creepiest things to hear. She's walking around and she's snooping in her husband's office. That's all I thought. And she's hearing ding, 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 ding. Maybe I'll put in the background a creepy music box playing as we're talking about this. But she doesn't see anything. She can't find it, but she's like, I hear it. Am I going crazy? So I guess it stops at some point. Ed's in his office alone, and he sees his doorknob kind of moving around. He thinks that is he thinks his daughter is playing a prank on him. So he's like, I'm going to do what people do, and I'm going to kind of scare her, I guess. He goes to do it. Nobody's there. It's like, what? Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, it's like, oh boy. Things are getting a little bit strange. Now, this is not enough for me to make this call, but Mary, let's call her jump to conclusion, Mary. She calls the University of Washington to see if there's any fault lines or anything that would account for movements of the house. And they say, no, nothing like that, Mary. And thanks for calling. We'll talk to you tomorrow probably. And she probably calls daily. And, but yeah, I mean, it could be just regular house settling, which, I don't know. You get house settling, right? It's something.
I totally get that. I think that might be house settling, but what's not house settling is that one night she sees a figure of a woman in like a flannel nightgown with a scarf over her head.
Right. This is where you start really questioning things.
Yeah, for sure.
We get a not so special effect of a ghost standing there, and she's like you said, she has a scarf on her head, and she does a little bit of research, and she discovers that a former resident who had lived there died of cancer.
Exactly. Yeah. And she's like, I was startled by the ghost, but I felt that she had a very calming energy. She didn't scare me, but she would always go into my kids' rooms to check on them. And I later learned that that's where her kids' rooms used to be. Yeah. So I think that she is like a protector of the children.
Now, again, we've talked about this a little bit in the past. This is a residual haunting, it seems. And that just means it's the same. It's almost like a tape loop. It's not referred to as something as an intelligent haunting, which would be a haunting that actually interacts with you. This is just the same thing happening over and over again. That's similar to what happens in my home when I see these shadows and stuff. It's the same thing being played over and over again.
That creeps me out more for some reason. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of times it's because a memory or an emotion was captured there from that person. So it's, maybe this poor woman she was standing in that hallway having, just thinking about her life and reflecting.
As she's dying and looking at her kids and wondering how they're going to grow up without her and stuff. I could totally see that happening.
And it's one of these things that, it's recorded in energy, I guess. I don't really have much of a better answer than that. And it's something I believe in. I do believe that energy is, it can remain. We are a living earth, and things can be, implemented into space. And that's my hippy dippy. But but like I said, I do believe in that. So she's, but like you said, she's not afraid of the ghost. She's just, she checks on the kids and everything seems okay. It's kind of like a friendly ghost at this point. Or exactly. At all points.
But talk about like frozen energy. Ed, actually, the first ghost that he sees is a man in the living room who they call a old riverboat gambler. And he has like a little ribbon tie, like paws going to, the Grange. Yes. And he's got a mustache. But the spirit never moves and it's always just staring down the hall. And he describes him as like hostile, aggressive. Like, I would not mess with this guy.
Now, did they mention at all, because it kind of got lost on me, how old their home is or even the area that they live in, how old it is?
No, I do know it's 37th Street. I went up and down my Google Street View trying to find their house with the one little quick glimpse that we see of the outside. But, it's been like almost 25 years. So
and are they near a river?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they're kind of near the water. So it would make sense to have an old riverboat gambler.
I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess, I guess if the area itself is kind of old, sure, energy and stuff like that could be created. And it's kind of weird to have like a multi-generational spirit, an entity existing in these homes, but
yeah,
we know nothing about it. Why not? It's almost, maybe it's just one of these kind of places where, spirits can just interact. They're not really interacting. I'm sorry. They're just kind of being recorded there.
I'd love to know the neighbors' ghost situations.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. This is one of those cases where we do like newspaper research, and it'll be kind of interesting to start doing a search of that. But unfortunately, we have other unsolved mysteries to solve.
Exactly. I know. I could get lost in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say there are many, many ghosts here because we meet a little girl called Pinky. She's like in a little pink nightgown. They say she's between like 8 to 10 years old, and they can hear her giggling every once in a while.
Top 3 creepiest things to hear at night, right? Even my kid's like, that's the scariest thing ever because he plays all these video games and they add this kind of stuff.
It's so creepy. I 100% agree. It's terrifying. If I'm down a dark alley, that is the last thing I want to hear is either a music box or a little girl giggling. But those are also the most stereotypical like movie things. So that to me does not add to the validity of this story.
This is going to get hot now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have to hit the bell. So while Ed is showering, I think it's Ed who first talks about it. He says that while he was showering, a woman who is clearly a female.
Yeah, it's supposed
hugged him in the shower. I mean,
that's what they say, but we know it's deeper because he said that this spirit that had a female presence was hungry for earthly desires.
Yeah, Ed is a really good-looking guy. So I'm teasing, of course. Ed is
he looks like a Civil War reenactor.
Yeah, he actually reminds me of exactly that, actually. But he's basically saying, in the shower, they get this interaction, which is kind of interesting. Mary says that she showered a week later, which I thought was a funny comment. And she said that she feels as though that the spirit is bisexual.
Yeah, she was like, it definitely likes both of us because she had an encounter too.
Because Ed and Mary seem to have the beginnings of what some might call an open marriage.
Yeah, I know, right? But then the son takes a shower and he's like, hey, what's up with that shower? It's like, ugh. I just could not get past that fact. It was
I don't know
gross.
What's creepier, the ghost or all three of you talking about it.
I know, and being like, it's pretty bitchin', right? Like being like into it. It was weird. It was really gross.
Yeah, it was one of those kind of weird things that I guess after a couple glasses of wine, maybe you start talking about it, but it's not really acceptable outside of that. But it's funny. It's a thing. I don't know how much I buy into all of this, but they felt something.
Both of them had great senses of humor about it. It was a fun, enjoyable segment. Like they did not take themselves too seriously, and it seems like the ghosts are just down to have a good time.
I loved Mary's attitude. I don't know why. Just something about her. I don't know if I fully believe this story, but there's something about her telling it that I found enjoyable.
Yeah, she was like, this probably sounds crazy to you, but this is my life. So she says that like she'll see stuff move or rattle around the house for a while, and then it'll stop altogether. So Unsolved Mysteries calls in professional ghost hunter Lloyd Auerbach, and he's on Facebook. He encourages people to reach out to him. He's a parapsychologist.
Yes.
So he brings this like magnometer with him to detect electromagnetic disturbances, and it goes off like crazy. And every time it goes off, Mary's like, oh, I'm so cold, like I feel like she's kind of playing it up a bit.
Yeah, I've never heard of Lloyd Auerbach, and he is a parapsychologist and paranormal investigator and a mentalist, which whenever I hear mentalist, I get a little bit cringy, but because it tends to be a little bit more sensational, I guess. But he is he's still around. He's 64, and he's written a couple books about it. I'm not really sure. All he really did was walk around with a meter that measures magnetic ranges. It's something that a plumber will use. An electrician will use to look for any type of anomalies in your electrical system. And they're looking for basically pulses of magnetic energy. I don't know if we talked about this, but Sometimes, I don't know if you have do you have a sub basement? Like you have a basement where the pipes and all, but you've been in them, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes because all of that electrical is above your head and the pipes and there's a lot of grounding and all this kind of weird stuff. Sometimes a basement can feel it can give you feelings of dread and paranoia and all of these things. And it often has a lot to do with the poor grounding or a connection to the earth, like electric, static, magnetic. And this can be corrected by just kind of rerouting wiring. It's kind of crazy. And I used to get this feeling when I lived in this house in Westbury where I would literally, as an adult, be down there and I would just have this overwhelming feeling of depression and dread. And I would have to get out of the basement. I would just, it would upset me and I would just leave feeling horrible. Like I thought I was having like mental breakdowns. And as I look back, also looking through my journals, I realized that everybody in that house was going through something. And we think that looking back, I think it had a lot to do with the poor wiring and everything of that house. Because everybody practically had some type of psychological issue and needed to get out of the house. Huh. And it was all like not characteristic to who we were individually. Right. Like now we're all friends and it's like, what was going on there? So anyway, that's what this is for. He's going around, he's measuring things. He's like, well, there's a lot here and there's a lot there. And I think a lot of this can be dismissed in that way because when you feel something, nobody can tell you that you don't feel it, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So.
Yeah, and Ed and Mary actually, in 2001, they went on an episode of Larry King Live entitled, Are There Ghosts? And they had probably a 3-minute segment. I didn't watch it because I couldn't find it, but I did read the transcript, and it's almost verbatim what they said on Unsolved Mysteries, too. So it's nothing new that you're going to learn on there, but I do wonder if they used fake names because I could find no record of these people, and you know how much I stalk people, so I couldn't find anything on them.
I'll dig around. But then again, if you didn't find it, I'm not going to find it.
I was going to say, if you find something, it's going to be such a blow to my ego.
Yeah, right. It'd be like, there it is. Ed and Mary. No. That might be my today's goal.
Man.
And did they ever, did they talk about leaving the house or anything like that? Do you know?
Nope. They're not going to leave that shower. No way.
They actually are expanding the shower.
Yeah, that shower saved their marriage.
A hot tub is needed. Pronto. So yeah, you know what? Maybe it would be kind of interesting to have this book, the self-help book, how a spirit entity saved our marriage.
Oh my God, I love it.
I'm going to bet it's out there already.
Probably.
Kim, this was a great episode. Thank you so much for getting together and covering this. I just scrolled down. I'm like, did we cover everything? We did.
Yeah, we did. And the pleasure was all mine. As always, please check us out on Facebook, Unsolved Mysteries Rewind Podcast. Let's talk about your ghost encounters. It's anything. It's so cool. We have a lot of fun talking on there, post memes, all kinds of stuff. And if you want to leave us a 5-star review where you listen to this podcast, that would be cool too.
That would be super cool. Mm-hmm. I do want to mention that since we had our water issue and everything's been repaired here, and I've spent a lot of time in my basement in the past couple of days, I've not seen any shadows or anything. So I'm kind of wondering if this thing just up and left.
I hope so.
They dug up my front yard big way, and they removed this one huge root that had to be super old. And,
interesting.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. It feels lighter in this house. So
great.
We'll see. But I think I don't know if a name was ever chosen for this thing.
Yeah.
Betty? I think Betty might have been the best one.
Tonight we have been confronted with an entire catalog of unexplained and unsolved events. Tune in next time as Unsolved Mysteries Rewind discusses another collection of unsolved mysteries. Until then, we can only look and wonder.